man.
Yeah,
It's not just prison. It's you got kids that are lonely or divorced parents and somebody going through. Maybe the parents has got alcohol and drug problems, and they're in one room doing something crazy. And maybe this kid's watching that football game. That level of escapism, just some other type of prison. So I look at it 100% like that. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. No, I even think, in any other setting where people are struggling through hard times, if they have access to a TV, I mean, I could see, I mean, not that I've ever been to a shelter, but I would imagine if there was a TV there, I would imagine people would watch. I mean, certainly people that, are hospitalized, whether, medical hospital or, a psychiatric hospital, I mean, I watch sports in the psychiatric hospital. So, I guess maybe it's kind of a first here, but I'm transparent, and you're a great host, and this is a great show. So I'll throw you out some original content. I mean, I was involuntarily hospitalized for 6 months. So after I got arrested, I got bailed out after like 35 days, and I thought I was going back to the life I had, going back to school and my friends in the apartment complex, in the area where I went back, and I thought I was going back to that life, but there was no going back to it. I mean, I was a hated figure in Peekskill. Everybody believed, people think, well, if the cops arrested you for it, then obviously you did it. Newspaper reports of a confession added, which was a confession, but it was a coerced false confession. But they're reporting it as a confession, so that kind of lends credibility to things. So I mean, there really hadn't been a murder in Peekskill for a long time, and this really shook up the community. So I was a hated figure there. I felt like it was somewhat dangerous even for me to be outside walking around. Then they wouldn't let me go back to the high school until the case was resolved. I couldn't play with my friends because, their parents wouldn't let their kids play with me. So there really was no going back in many respects to my life. So I felt like my life was over. Mm-hmm. And so I actually did try to take my life. I took a large unopened bottle of extra strength Tylenol, and I swallowed all the pills, and I went to sleep, and I intended to never wake up again. I thought, that was my intent, but thank God I did wake up. I don't recall how long it was, but I woke up, and my body is throwing up, and I couldn't stop vomiting. And so, eventually that got the attention of my mother and grandmother, and I had to tell them what I did, and they called the ambulance. And so once I was okay medically, and thank God I didn't harm my liver. And I mean, to quote one of the nurses, look, you took enough Tylenol, to really seriously damage the horse's liver.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
Right. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So when my hospital stay was over, I mean, there was a psych hospital located on the same grounds, and so I was involuntarily committed there, and at some point I was fine, but like the doctors, I felt like it was kind of a CYA type thing. They didn't want to release, sign off on my being released until my criminal case was finished, because they were concerned that I might slip back into, some sort of suicidal or depressive state. And then they were worried about liability. So, that thing stretched out for like 6 months. I mean, that was at least three to 4 months longer, but than what it needed to be. And then I eventually got transferred to Rockland County Psychiatric Center for kids. Yeah. And there, the doctors had no such issue. They evaluated me over like a month, and they put the paperwork in the court and came to court and said that I'm fine, and I was released. But we went down this rabbit hole, I guess, to say that I know from firsthand experience, that people in psych hospitals, we watch sports. We